everybody's full of shit. Nobody knows you or what you're capable of doing. The hardest thing in life is figuring out who you are and what you want to do for the rest of your life. It's a big decision. It's impossible for you to fail if you know who you are, what you want to do, and you wake up every day and work.
Welcome back guys to another video of Manolot Reacts, and in this video we will be breaking down Dana White, the president of UFC, and a person you wouldn't expect to be the interviewer. His name is Vivek Ramaswamy, and oh my god, this man, he does everything. He gives the interview, he becomes the interviewer, and you will be shocked to see how good of an interviewer he really is. So let's start the video. But before that, I just want you to know that in this video, we will not be breaking down the full podcast, which is of 59 minutes. We will be breaking down the views and ideas that Dana White and Vivek Ramaswamy have, so that the video is short and important and it can provide the right amount of value for people.
Yeah, no, I say it all the time. We went through COVID together, me and my employees, probably the scariest time of our lifetime. And, a lot of uncertainties. And, I talk about it all the time at a time when companies were, making the decision to lay off 30-40% of their staff. I did the exact opposite. There's no way I was laying off. But some of these people have been with me for, 20 years.
Yeah.
And you don't find out who people really are till the shit hits the fan. And
in that sense, it's useful.
100%. People talk a lot of, how much they care about their employees or how good a friendship is or how good a relationship is, but you really don't know until you hit hard times. I mean, the UFC has been this rocket ship of success now for the last however many years. And then the first time that we face adversity, I'm going to lay off 30-40% of my staff. There's no way in hell, man. I look at this thing, this is a battleship. Mm-hmm. And, we either all go down together or not at all.
Yeah. So what was you? I just want to get to that, but just rewind the clock. How long you been here now?
I've been doing this for 23 years.
23 years. Yep. And what brought you into this?
So I've been in the fight business since I was 19 years old, and I was involved in boxing. And a couple of buddies of mine, the Fertitta brothers, we were out one night. We saw this ultimate fighting kid. His name was John Lewis. And Frank Fertitta says to me, you know what, I've always wanted to learn jiu-jitsu. I've always wanted to. I said, well, I know the guy. We went over and we talked to him, and we set up a lesson for Monday. Frank Lorenzo and I all started training on Monday morning, became addicted. Through John Lewis, we started to meet a lot of the fighters, and I started managing Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, got into a contract battle with the old owner of the UFC. He flipped out on me one day and said, you know what, there is no more money. I don't know if I can even put on another event. I literally called the Fertitta brothers and said, I think the UFC's in trouble. I think we could buy it, and I think we should.
Oh, is that what happened?
2 months later, we bought the UFC for $2 million.
For $2 million? So you kind of smelled, in some ways, to use a fight analogy, you smelled blood a little bit.
Oh, yeah. No, I knew for a fact that he was done. He was on his last leg.
So who put up, the Fertitta brothers put up the money?
The Fertittas put up the $2 million. They made me the president of the company, and they gave me 10%.
It's good
to run it.
Yeah, well, good arrangement to get started.
It was incredible.
Yeah, and then that's end of history.
And here we are today.
Yeah, no other investors ever came in?
Abu Dhabi came in. So
a little bit later.
Okay. The investment firm for Abu Dhabi came in, and they bought 10% in like 2010, I'd say. And then we sold in 2016 for $4.025 billion.
You sold in 2016. And who bought that? The current owner?
Endeavor, yeah. Ari Emanuel and Endeavor.
So you've been in the fight business for a long time anyway.
Yeah.
What have you learned? What's different about UFC versus what your old days were in boxing in terms of just the character of the business and what drew you to it?
The difference is that, what's fascinating about boxing? There's probably never been another business where literally trillions of dollars have been made. And at the end of the day, there's nothing there. So what we wanted to do is come in and build almost like a league, a brand, like the NFL or Major League Baseball, and where there was actually value inside the brand, and bring all the fighters inside so that you could put on the best fights that the fans want to see.
That's interesting. So usually when there's nothing there, you mean just after the fight, it's just gone.
every time they put on a fight, it's a going out of business sale. They
That's
try to
right.
get up as much money as they can get in the door.
Yeah.
And they don't care if the customer's satisfied, if they're happy. You like the fight? Too fucking bad. We don't give a shit.
We're done anyway.
Exactly.
It's interesting. There's not to bring it into this, but it reminds me of the weirdness of a political campaign. Is it's a business that's designed to end by the time you actually wind it up, which means you actually do all kinds of screwed up things along the way,
Right.
compared to a real business that's built to last.
Fact. That's
But
exactly
anyway,
what boxing is.
It actually just reminded, just because I've just been through it, it just reminded me of it. Versus what you said is you want to create something that lasts.
Right. Something that lasts, has value. We set standards that people believe. Now when UFC events go on sale, they'll sell out before they even know what the main event is, because there's a standard.
Yep.
You know, they know that they're going to get a quality product, whether they buy the pay-per-view or they show up and buy a ticket. So that's what I meant.
So you built that. So you're talking about the sale was in 2016, but you bought it for $2 million when?
In 2001.
2001, you bought it for $2 million,
Yep.
and you kept your 10% stake all the way through.
Yep.
You sold in 2016,
Yep.
which means you cashed out
Yep.
to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
Just so you guys know why he's so hyper talking about these topics is because Dana White did not grow up with a silver spoon in his mouth. He was poor, he was grown up. When he grew up, he had a single mother. His father was an alcoholic. So he knows what struggle really feels like. He's been through that thing, okay? And he's given his all. That's why he always revolves around, hard work, perseverance, and loyalty to its employees, because he's seen those things. And he always talks about, in one interview he said, seeing my parents, I know what parent I shouldn't be. And he went through a lot. That he's not just a person who is a $500 million worth now and he inherited all the things. No, he didn't. He grew up poor, he worked hard, he became a doorman, he became a manager, he became a CEO. From $2 million the worth of UFC in 2001, he made it to $4 billion, and he sold it in 2016. And that's not easy, okay? He has given years of his hard work into UFC, and this man have really shown what hard work is and what commitment to a goal looks like.
With this, you think rest of your life? You think you'll...
Yeah. I'll never retire. I'll die working. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. When I wrote I wouldn't have written my first book. I wrote this book, Woke Inc. years ago. It was part of my time out of business. You think you're going to sit down and you're going to do something. But I said, I have an idea. I sent it out around somebody, to a book agent, another author I knew said, okay, here's an agent. And they sent it back to me and they said, hey, listen, if you want to actually put your talents to use, you're a businessman, maybe you can use your financial resources to support somebody who has literary talent. So I said, oh, okay, all right. That's actually going to make me what made me decide to actually sit up and write the book. It's almost a favor that somebody does you when they said that it can't work.
Right.
It actually gives you the motivation that you otherwise wouldn't have had. And so I feel you on that. That's a big part of what got me going.
Now, before we talk about what he spoke, let's talk about how is the interview going. Because I've seen in this interview and noticed that Vivek Ramaswamy is not only a great speaker, but also a great listener. Because he asks the questions that is really, feels like he's really curious about knowing about people, and he really wants to talk to people. He does not let the conversation go from one place to another. He takes it in a smooth way, and it shows how great of an interviewer he really is, which we never really knew about. And that's really shocking. So let's talk about what he talked in this part. So Vivek Ramaswamy talks about how he was successful biotech entrepreneur. He became a successful person, he made a company, and all in all. And then he left his company to write a book about the dangers of woke capitalism. He criticizes the hypocrisy and manipulation of the corporations and elites and advocates for freedom and excellence. And it's not just that, because he wrote that book when the woke thing started. And now, after some years, he still stands by what he said. And that shows that he's a man with good principles and virtues who is self-confident enough. And you can only be self-confident when you really know what you're talking about, when you know and you have the knowledge of what you are speaking of, or what you're speaking against. As in this book, he was against the woke agenda that's been being promoted and being spread all over the world.
You can't. No one guy does anything by himself, right? You have somebody who is the vision and gets everything set up, but you need a team to really accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. And over the last 23 years, I've built the biggest, baddest team in all of sports. I'll put my team up against any other team in any other sport anywhere. And the first day that they started shutting everything down, brought all my employees downstairs, and I said, "Here's the truth. I don't understand this. I don't know what's going on, but if you're scared and you're nervous and you think you have somebody at home that could, whatever, you're free to go. Free to go home and do whatever." Nobody went home.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody went home. So then we got to a point where all had to go home. Okay?
That happened even here.
Yeah. Every week, I would send videos to my employees saying, "Enjoy this time. This is going to be a very unique time in our life. We're never going to have this again, where you just get to stay home, get paid,
recharge,
and spend time with your family
exactly.
and hang out." And I said, if you need anything, you need groceries, if any of your people get sick, you or family members, make me your first call. We'll get you taken care of. And this sounds weird, but at the time, it was a hot commodity. If you need toilet paper, call me. You know what I mean?
Actually, that's good.
So I was telling these guys, whatever you need, made everybody feel cool. Nobody's losing their jobs. Nobody's getting laid off. We're all going to be fine, and we're going to fight through this together. Mm-hmm. And then I made the decision that I was going to go through COVID, no matter what it took. Because at the end of the day, what I have to do is I have to deliver a live product to television, right? I don't have brick and mortar. I can set this up on an island somewhere where it's just us. I can do this anywhere. And we can build a true bubble. And all I have to do is give the feed to ESPN. That's all I need. So when the time came when I told my troops, we're going, everybody went.
Awesome.
Everybody went.
How soon into that?
Not one person said, this, that, or, nobody. My whole fucking team stormed the beach with me, and we went and we ripped through COVID. It was the most successful time in the company's history. 3 fights that should have been doing 350,000 buys were doing 1 million.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just because people were so hungry for it.
100%. The media
Where'd you do them?
Was murdering me.
I mean,
murdering me.
It means you're doing something right.
You know what I mean? Through the whole thing.
What were they saying?
We did it in Abu Dhabi. So we did it.
Back in,
we ended up naming
your friends in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, Yaz Island. We named it Fight Island. And we did the fights all in Yaz. And we built the only true bubble that ever existed during COVID in sports. We built a true bubble.
That's awesome.
Where the people who came in to work there, like they opened the restaurants and the hotels and everything for us. Those people were there 2 months before we got there being COVID tested nonstop. And then we tested everybody before we went. We chartered Etihad Airlines and flew over there. And everybody was safe.
Amazing.
And, yeah.
More than paid for itself.
It was an incredible, unique experience in all of our lifetimes and in all of our careers. It was super cool.
That's phenomenal. And that was in 2020?
Yeah, it was 2020, 21.
So what did the media say?
Oh, murdering me every day. The fucking New York Times, relentless, just every week that I'm a piece of shit. I'm going to kill everybody. I care about money more than I do human life. All the shit that's put in place to scare everybody. Let's scare everybody to death. My philosophy was this: if these people are right, if what they're saying is true, we're all dead anyway. Right? We're gonna sit in our houses. But we can go to a restaurant, sit down, take our masks off, eat, put our mask back up and go. And this is the deadliest disease.
And take off our masks to sneeze.
100%.
but then put it right back on.
But this is the deadliest disease of all. It
didn't make sense.
So many things didn't make sense to me,
Well, good. Those are good friends in Abu Dhabi to do that for you.
The best.
So they were was
Abu.
it your contacts that from the investment
that
opened it up?
Yep.
Because I'm sure it wasn't the investment people that were doing it, but they opened it up via their other.
The royal family in Abu Dhabi are some of the smartest, most progressive.
Do you know MBZ?
Love them.
You know the guy personally?
Sheikh Taknoon too, yes.
He's a smart guy?
Brilliant. If you look at the infrastructure that Abu Dhabi has built from 1970 to today, it's almost unbelievable.
I don't know about you, but for me, the most favorite sport is UFC. I like watching it, and I started watching it just a year ago. I never knew about it. I always watched it. I didn't really knew about it. Okay, in my country, it was not as popular as in other countries. And now, what happens here is that they talks about how UFC and the culture of UFC is. They talks about that UFC is a meritocracy. Okay, the best players gets rewarded, and the ones who don't perform well, even they don't really lose their contracts if they perform well and not really lose in a, like if someone's not really strong and they don't really give it all and then they lose their contract, that's fine, they deserve it. But most of the times, if someone performs really, really good and the people like it, even if they lose every single match they, go against, every single person they go against, it's totally fine. They are not going to lose their contracts because they performed so well that people liked it. And that's really good, because a lot of sports just shows how that, doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter how well you perform, doesn't matter if you give it 100%. If you didn't win it, you are a loser. You didn't really, gain anything, and you will lose your contract. But I think UFC is the only sport where you really, doesn't really lose the contract most of the time if you give it your all, if you perform 100%. And that's what you should be like. If you're working towards something, you should give it your 100%. And that's a good, you're not going to lose your contract, you're going to keep earning money. Your money may increase even after you're losing if you're performing really well and people are liking it. So it's about performance. And that's amazing. That's why people love UFC, and that's one of the factors why UFC is one of the fastest growing sports in the world.
I think I can tell you're one of these people who you have your unique God-given gifts. God gives every one of us our unique gifts. You have yours. But when you're able to find what you can actually put that skill set to use for, that's true satisfaction.
What everybody thinks is because of my relationship with Trump that I'm some crazy political guy or I'm some hardcore Republican. I'm really not. I'm right down the middle. A lot of things about me are conservative. A lot of things about me are liberal. But I love this country.
Yes.
And,
I think Republican versus Democrat, those terms don't really mean much right now to me.
Not anymore. Right.
Not anymore. Right now they don't mean much to us.
I agree. At the end of the day, the message that needs to be sent and what needs to be fixed is we are all Americans. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, gay, straight, trans, any of this stuff. If you are a citizen of this country, you are an American. We're all Americans. We all have a really good life. If you want to nitpick all the little shit that's wrong,
totally.
You'll drive yourself crazy if that's what you want to do.
Yep.
I think at the end of the day, what most of us want that have common sense is we want to live a good life. We want to have family and friends, and we want to do things that we enjoy. We just want to live a good life, man. That's it. All this fucking crazy shit, You
got kids?
Yeah, I got 3 kids.
How old are they?
I got 22, 21, and 17. 2 boys
you
are older.
You want to live a good life, and you want to pass on a better life to
100%,
That's what this country's about.
Ronald Reagan has this great quote: "We're one generation away from losing our freedom."
That's right.
If you listen to everything that guy was saying in the 80s, it absolutely applies to right here, right now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, I'm in a global sport, right? Mm-hmm. This is a massive sport all over the world. And when I go to places like England, Mexico, Australia, the list goes on and on, these people love their country.
Oh, yeah.
They support their country. They support their own.
Totally.
It's just like this country is so broken and fragmented right now. It's actually
We're
gross.
taught to apologize for who we are.
It's gross.
Right? And so being American today is considered, or being proud of being an American today is considered something to be actually ashamed of.
Exactly.
You guys, I was doing the tour here beforehand. You guys opened up a big facility like this in China, is that right?
We got one in China. I'm cutting the ribbon next month in Mexico.
Okay.
We got one here, and we're building the biggest one of all time in Abu Dhabi.
Have you spent time in China after?
Yeah.
So tell me about what your perception has been from going over there, of what you see in the culture, both in the fight culture, but also what it's taught you about the broader culture of national pride over there.
When you think about China or Japan and any of the places in Asia, that's where martial arts comes from.
Yeah,
that's where that stuff was born. So for us to go over there for the first time, it was a cool, unique experience. I'm a insane Bruce Lee fan.
Oh, you are?
I mean, the quote that I
He's a
live my
legend.
life by is in my gym. I'm going to take you in there when we're done with this. I'm going to show you this quote that I've lived my life by my whole life. It's a Bruce Lee quote. And so, the Asian culture I love anyway. And when you go over to China, and all the things that are said about China, it's communist, it's this, it's that. And the people that are Chinese are very proud to be from China. Wei Li Zhang is our champion. She's from China. Our female champion is from China. And she is a little badass. And there's nothing she loves more than to represent her country. You know what I mean? I don't care where you go. You don't see any other country ashamed of who they are and where they're from. It's just something that started here in the last 5 or 6 years.
We teach the kids who are the best kids in the class now to kind of hide their excellence, right? It's not cool to be the smart kid in high school. It's not cool to be at the top of whatever you're doing. And so in some ways, when America got to be at the top of the world, we treated ourselves that way, like it's something we have to apologize for. And now everybody else who looked up to America says, why am I actually looking up to America when I can just be proud of my own country? You see that attitude in China. You see it in India.
100%.
And I think I'm hoping that's a pendulum that's going to swing in the other direction. That's why I ran for president, actually, is I feel like that animal spirit, right, inside the heart of our country, it actually has been tamed and domesticated into this new culture that celebrates victimhood and apology.
100%.
Instead of excellence. And that animal left and went to places like China, lifted them up. They used to have that culture of victimhood under Mao and otherwise. That's actually come back here to hold us down. And so I think that is a phase we're in. That's the way I'd like to look at it.
Could not agree with you more.
I hope it's just a phase. I think it's just a phase.
More people like us need to stand up and talk about this, because there's a lot of people that feel that way. But for some reason, this whole cancel culture and all the other bullshit that's flying around right now, where if you fucking say anything that anybody doesn't like, they're coming after you. You know what I mean?
Shut up, sit down, do as you're told.
100%. I
feel like it's the beginnings of that changing a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Oh, yeah.
It's the beginnings. I think we're a hair's trigger away from
Everybody's tired
hell
of this.
with this.
Everybody's tired of this bullshit.
Especially young people.
Yeah. Everybody's tired of it, man. And people are getting braver and braver now. People need to start standing up, and everybody became real scared real fucking fast for some reason. But, it felt like everybody was being attacked. But a lot of this comes from the media. The media started this whole thing. And what started to happen right now is the two most untrusted people right now in this country are politicians and the media.
Mm-hmm. For good reason, because both have been lying
100%.
for a long time.
In this part of the interview, they talk about the current state of America and the problems with cancel culture and the victimhood mentality of people these days. Dana White expresses his frustration and disappointment with the political and media landscape, and he defends his right to speak his mind and support whoever he wants and call and, endorse whoever he wants. And he calls people to fight for their beliefs. And that's a pain for people, corrupt people, because he speaks truth. He speaks whatever he wants, wherever he wants, whenever he wants. And people who are corrupt are scared of people like him, because they don't want their secrets to be known to people, because their image is different in the general public and what they are is totally different. And they don't want people to know it because they're scared. Most of them will be behind jails if that happens. That's why they're scared. And Dana White is not one of them. He's the one who speaks the truth. He's the one who speaks whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He never say or put any pressure on his fighters or on his staff to not speak on some particular topic. And if any of his sponsors ever try to blackmail him, which one did, he don't really gives a fuck. He just does what he wants. Now that said, let's talk about Dana White's philosophy. It is centered around hard work, perseverance, and loyalty. That's what it is centered around most of the time when he speaks and when he gives an interview. That's what I've came to conclusion to. And Vivek Ramaswamy's philosophy is centered around freedom, excellence, and individual responsibility. That's what he most of the time talks and gives his statements about. That's what both of these people both of these man talks about, and they both are great philosophical speakers, and I really enjoy watching both of them speak whenever they talk, whenever they give an interview. And it's an amazing, and it's really, I'm really happy to break down their interviews. And this was it for the video. If you want more breakdowns like this, please comment and tell me so that I could make more articulate breakdown. I'll try to improve in every single video, but I don't know if I really do. I'll try my best to do it better next time. Thank you for watching the video. If you really enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon for the future updates. Thank you.